Hi, Claudia here from Create with Claudia, and today I'm going to show you how to make a double-sided or reversible infinity scarf. Here's one that I made. It's a patchwork on one side. The one I'm showing you today is actually solid pieces of fabric on both sides, and it's falling off the table. But this one, which is completed, is patchwork on one side, and I wrote a tutorial about that, and then on the other side is a solid piece of fabric. And so you can wear it either way. And you know how infinity scarves you can wear any way. There are all kinds of fun ways you can twist and turn it to make it look really sharp. This would show off both the solid fabric and then that really pretty patchwork print. So let's get started. And I like nice long infinity scarves, so this is a long infinity scarf. You're gonna need fabric. I'm using batik fabric. I like batiks, I like the way they look, and I had these two that had big enough pieces of fabric. You can use jersey, you can use other kinds of quilting fabric, or whatever you want. I will say batik is a little bit stiffer than other fabrics, but I like the feel of it, and honestly after one or two washings it softens up, and actually after you wear it a couple times it softens up too. And so as you can see on the one side of my scarf it's going to be pink with this pretty sort of aqua blue pattern in it, and then on this other side it's going to be navy blue with the white polka dots. So what I've done, or you need to do, you're going to need to have two long pieces of fabric. They're going to be 64 inches long by 22 inches wide, and that is pretty long. You need about a yard of each color or of each fabric for this. You will have some scraps left over, and that's not so bad. I love my scraps. If you see my other videos you know that. And you're gonna have to piece them together. So what I do, you're gonna have to cut smaller pieces. So I actually cut 22 by 34 inch pieces, and then I sew them together. And as you can see, let me pull this table apart a little bit. You can see here where the seam is. So you're just gonna have two pieces of fabric to make that one long piece. Unless you, of course, you have a huge long piece of fabric that works well, you can use that too. But again, the overall measurements to start with, you need two pieces of fabric, coordinating or whatever colors you want, pattern and the solid, whatever, 22 inches wide by 68 inches long. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sew down each long side. Side one, leave the two short ends unsewn. And I've already done one side for you already. You can see I've sewn down the one side. I'm going to go ahead and sew down the other one. I started pinning it. I like to pin. You can pin, you don't have to. It's just for me to help me sort of as a little bit of a guideline. So I'll go ahead and pin the rest of this. It's really, I just love this scarf. You can wear it, you can make it in every color imaginable. I mean, for fall, spring, winter, Christmas, gosh, I mean, anything. Try to do this a little bit quickly. Now, as you can see, when I get to the end and after I sew it, I didn't quite cut perfectly. These are big pieces to cut, and I'm not great at cutting these really big pieces of fabric. So you might want to trim that edge up before you finish up. Well, we'll do that when I'm done sewing. Okay. So you're going to sew down. I use about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can use more, you can use, I wouldn't use less actually, because you want this to be nice and strong. Excuse me. Allergies going on here. And I double stitch at each end, and just watch out for the needles, for the pins, excuse me. That my edges are not, I didn't line up the fabric perfectly. That is okay. It sort of it gets hidden when you turn the scarf inside out. So I would not worry about that. You don't want too big an overlap there, but that's fine. I like projects that are forgiving. Sometimes it just makes it a little bit easier. I have a teenager, so that helps too. Whoop, there's a pin I forgot. Pull that one out. And then, like I said earlier, I didn't cut these quite perfectly, so So I'm just going to trim that up with my good fabric scissors just a little bit. Again, this all sort of gets turned inside out so you won't see these uneven. Having problems today. Okay, does not have to be perfect. Toss all that away. And then comes the interesting part. You gotta turn this thing inside out. Well, almost inside out. So basically at this point you've sewn down the two long sides and you have a tube of fabric with the wrong sides facing together. Hopefully you can see that. It's kind of hard to see. Okay, so then you're gonna open up the one end. Okay, like so. You're going to reach down into the middle and pull up and reach down all the way to the other end. Hello, you can see my fingers. And pull that through the middle. You're going to pull it all the way through. You're going to pull it like halfway through so that the two ends are meeting like so. So this was the end I just pulled out. It was the far end. I pulled it through the center. And you're going to need to pin. And I start with the edges because you're going to just pin all around that opening. That's why we didn't close that opening up. So I start at one of the seams because that helps me know. And you're going to match up those the right colors to the right color. So the pink to the pink, the blue to the blue. And you're going to pin, and this gets a little messy, I do admit. So you're just going to pin around the whole outside of that opening. And remember that you pulled up through the center the far end of the fabric, and now you're pinning together. This is the right side of the pink and this is the right side of the pink, and you want those two sides to be facing each other. Excuse me. Pin all around the opening. And what you're going to do, once you're done pinning, I'm going to show you on the pink, but you're going to need to leave it open. You're going to sew around this one edge, and when I'm done I'll show you, because you need to leave an opening so you can actually turn the scarf inside out. When I first made a scarf like this, it took me forever to figure out how to do that, and I just couldn't understand how it worked, but it works. It's kind of magic. Okay, so you've pinned around the whole outside, but you're gonna need to go back, get any of those loose threads out. You're gonna leave an opening, I'd say about 5 inches wide. So what I did here, in fact, I'm gonna do that. I mark it with different pins. That way I know to stop and start. So I'm gonna leave my opening. I actually might make that opening a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna leave that open. When I sew around, you're gonna have to sew around that whole edge that you just pinned down. Leave that open, leave that unsewn, because that's how you need, that's what you're going to need to pull the scarf inside out, turn it inside out. So let's get sewing. And I stop and start, I back stitch at the front and the end again, definitely, because, and I definitely do that because there's a lot of tugging and turning. In fact, I might even take this off. It just helps me manipulate it a little bit better. You can see before I start sewing that how it's pinned together and you have one opening. Just leave it open. I back stitch And there you can see where that opening is, about 5 inches, maybe 6. And then you're going to turn this inside out, sort of flip it inside out. So you're going to reach in. That's why you want to double back stitch, excuse me, at each end, because there will be some tugging and twisting here. And you're just going to start, put your hand in that hole, that opening, and just start pulling it out. This takes a little while and a lot of playing around. And you don't think it's ever going to get done. Sort of fiddle with it a little bit, feed that all through that opening. And it's not perfect yet. I usually press it after I'm done. But there you have it. A reversible scarf, infinity scarf. The only thing you need to do now is close up that opening. And that's pretty simple. Like I said, it helps to press this. You're going to turn each end, each of these raw edges over here, over, and get that. And the nice thing is, since you've already sewn it, it sort of forms it itself. You can see how it sort of is folding to that edge, to that seam allowance. And you're going to start pinning without getting that blue side. You're going to pin along that opening. And I do a lot of pins because you're turned under about a 1/4 inch, eighth of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. So you want to make sure. This is a little tedious too, but you want to make sure that looks nice, that opening. Now you can do this 2 ways. You can hand stitch it using a ladder stitch, which is easy to do, or like I'm doing with the machine. Just sort of, I think, makes it a little bit more secure because you are wearing this and you're sort of fiddling with it on your neck. So you can see how those edges are turned in, about a 1/4 inch on each side. And try to get rid of threads if you can. You do need to do a little cleanup after you're done. Almost done. All the way to the end of that opening. Making sure you didn't grab any of that navy in the back so that there's nothing over sewn in by accident. Okay, and you can see that's where that thread's hanging out. We'll cut that off later. Then you're gonna bring it back over to the machine. And I sewed down a very scant 1/8 of an inch right along that edge. Normally I would use a coordinating thread, like in this case I would use pink, but I'm using white today so you can see it, and the white kind of blends in with the pink. But actually I would use a pink that would match this so that you wouldn't see that seam. And so let's start sewing. And I do that a lot. I backstitch beginning and in the end. Just a little bit, just take a couple stitches. I do this nice and slow, make sure I'm getting all just so close to that edge. We're almost to the finish line. So you can see, hopefully, we're going to trim off all those edges, all those threads. You're going to clean that up better than I do right now, but and that's where the threads that match come in handy. You can see that is such a scant little seam, but it works perfectly. And on the back I used green so you could see it on the other side too. And I'm just right up there at the edge. And that is it. I would press this sort of see it. There it is. Once it's pressed, it'll look a lot better, and you won't see it so readily. And there's your reversible infinity scarf. So there you have a pink side, or you have a navy side, or if you twist it around, you have both. And I like pink and navy. I think that's such a pretty combination. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. It's a lot of fun. This is a big scarf. You can twist it around your neck maybe 2 times, maybe even 3, depending on what your size is. But it's just a lot of fun, and I hope you have fun doing it. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.